You only sent 50 cents? My dad yelled in front of everyone. Sienna sends $4,000 every month, I quietly said. That was actually me. Mom snapped. Stop trying to take credit for what she does. So, I stopped sending the money. A month later, I found out the truth. Hi Reddit. Before I begin, just a quick note, our channel's been slowing down a bit, and subscribing is a great way to help. It's free, fast, and helps our community grow. Okay, here's the story. I'm a 28-year-old woman, and for years I tried to be the good daughter. I always remembered birthdays, sent money without being asked, and checked on my parents when no one else did. I left home at 20 to go to college with a scholarship. I haven't asked my parents for money since. My younger sister, Sienna, is 26. She's always been the favorite, pretty, charming, and always getting away with things. She dropped out of school, changed jobs a lot, and moved back in with our parents. Still, they treat her like a hero. They act like she's amazing and barely mention me. I feel like a walking wallet to them, just someone who sends money from afar. It wasn't always like this. When I got my first tech job, I felt proud. I wanted to help, so I quietly started sending my parents $4,000 a month. It was hard, rent in my city is expensive, but I made it work. I just wanted to give back to the people who raised me. I told them early on that I'd set up a recurring transfer to their account, no strings attached. My mom simply said, "That's sweet, thank you." My dad didn't even reply. I figured they were just the stoic type, not the kind to make a fuss. But then came the family barbecue. I flew in for my mom's birthday, took time off work, and even bought a cake from her favorite bakery. The backyard was filled with uncles, cousins, neighbors, even Sienna's friends. We were all laughing and drinking until my dad raised a toast. He began talking about how proud he was of Sienna. I smiled, expecting a sweet moment. But then his tone shifted. "You only sent 50 cents, he suddenly bellowed across the yard. The laughter stopped. I froze. He was looking straight at me, holding his phone. "Sienna sends $4,000 a month. What do you even contribute?" The crowd looked at me, some gasping, others whispering. I blinked, confused and embarrassed. "That was me," I said softly, my face burning. Mom cut in before I could say more. "Stop stealing her credit," she snapped. She was red in the face, angry in a way I hadn't seen before. I turned to Sienna. She was standing next to our cousin Jenna, smirking, arms crossed like she was watching a show. I felt like I was going to throw up. I didn't argue, I didn't fight, I didn't want to make a scene. I just nodded and walked inside. Later that night, after everyone had left, I opened my banking app and canceled the recurring payments. If they were so convinced Sienna was their savior, then she could be. The next few weeks were quiet. I didn't get a call, a message, nothing. I guess I expected a thank you, maybe an apology once they saw the money was gone. But instead, I got silence. Until a month later. My phone rang while I was in a meeting. It was my dad. I hesitated but picked up. He didn't ask how I was. No greeting, just started talking. "We're missing the rent this month. Your mom says the bank made a mistake." I stayed silent. "You usually send the money by the 3rd, it's the 12th. I told him the truth. "That payment came from me," I said, "not Sienna." There was a pause. "Don't lie," he said sharply. "Sienna's been helping us since she got that big job. She even told us you only sent pocket change." My hands were shaking. I wanted to scream, but I kept calm. "Ask her for proof," I replied. That's when he hung up. 10 minutes later, Sienna called me. She was furious. "What is your problem?" she shouted. "You let them believe I only sent 50 cents, I snapped back. She didn't deny it. "You're always the favorite. I just wanted one thing to be mine," she said. "They never brag about me like they do you." "So, you lied? You stole credit for thousands of dollars I sent them?" I heard her breathing hard on the other end. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. "They don't care about the money, they care about the story." I gave them that. I hung up. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling, questioning everything. Had all those years of helping been a waste? The next morning, I received a message from my cousin Jenna. It was a screenshot of a text thread. Sienna had been boasting in the family group chat that she convinced me to stop sending money, said I was finally seeing how worthless our parents were. She called me a gullible idiot, said she was going to let them rot now that she'd won. And just like that, everything made sense. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. I wasn't just betrayed, I was played, for years. And now they were struggling all because I trusted them to see the truth. But they never did. I decided I wasn't going to confront anyone just yet. Instead, I made a plan. The next weekend, I booked a flight home again, this time unannounced. When I arrived, my parents looked surprised, even a bit annoyed. The house looked disheveled, and it was clear money was tighter than ever. Mom asked if I was there to drop off a check. I smiled politely, just visiting, I said. We made small talk. No one brought up the money, but I did notice Dad on the phone later, telling someone he'd figured it out. I waited until Sunday night to make my move. I asked to speak to both of them in the living room. They sat across from me, stiff, unsure. I opened my tablet and showed them bank statements, years of transfers to their account, all from me, and then I showed them the screenshot from Jenna. They went pale. I let them sit in silence for a full minute before speaking. You always believed her over me, you let her humiliate me, you never once asked for the truth. Mom started to cry. Dad looked like he wanted to say something but couldn't. I stood up. I'm not here for an apology, I'm here to say goodbye. You chose your golden child, now live with her choices. And with that, I walked out. I didn't look back. But what happened next, I could have never expected. It had been 3 weeks since I walked out of my parents' house, 3 weeks since I showed them the receipts, the truth they refused to see for years. I hadn't heard a word from them, not a text, not a call. I thought maybe they were too ashamed to face me, maybe they were hoping I'd cool down and everything would return to the way it used to be. But that wasn't going to happen. I was done playing the invisible benefactor. What I didn't expect, though, was what would happen next. It started with a call from Aunt Clara, my dad's older sister. She never got involved in family drama, kept to herself mostly, but this time, her voice was tight with anger. "What the hell is going on over there?" she asked. Apparently, my mom had called her in tears, saying they were behind on the mortgage and Sienna had refused to help. She begged Clara for a loan. Clara, confused, asked why I wasn't helping anymore. That's when Mom broke down and admitted that I had been the one sending the money all along. Clara was furious. She said she couldn't believe they allowed Sienna to lie for years and then tried to guilt me back into saving them. Then she told me something that made my stomach twist. They're about to lose the house. She said they'd taken out a second mortgage. Apparently, my payments were covering most of it. Without them, they're sinking. I didn't gloat. I didn't feel victorious. I felt sick. That house was my childhood home, the place where I took my first steps, celebrated birthdays, where Dad taught me to ride a bike in the driveway, and now it was crumbling, because of their lies, because they chose the fantasy over the facts. But still, I stayed quiet. Until I got a message from Sienna. It was short, no apology, no explanation. "Hope you're happy, they're blaming me now, like that's fair." I stared at the screen. It was like she didn't even understand what she'd done, like she thought this was some petty sibling rivalry, not the dismantling of an entire family. I didn't respond. But it wasn't over. A week later, I got a call from my dad again. I let it ring the first time. The second time, I answered. His voice was thin, desperate. "We're going to lose the house," he said. I didn't say anything. "I don't care about the money anymore," he continued. "I just want to know why you didn't tell us sooner, why you let us believe it." I wanted to laugh or scream, but instead, I kept my voice calm. "I did tell you, at the barbecue, you called me a liar. Mom told me to stop stealing Sienna's credit." He was quiet for a long time. I could hear his breathing, shaky and slow. "She told us you sent 50 cents once as a joke, that you didn't care." "And you believed that?" I asked, after years of silence, of no complaints, just steady support. "You believed the one who's never held a job longer than 6 months." I heard the shame in his exhale. "I think we just wanted to believe something nice about her," he whispered. I paused. "She played you, Dad, and you let her, and you burned your bridge with me to keep that fantasy alive." Then, softly, he asked, "Is there any way to fix this?" I almost said no, but instead, I said, "That's not a question for me anymore. That's a question for yourself, and maybe a therapist." Then I hung up. Later that week, I found out they did lose the house. They moved in with my mom's sister, someone they used to call a drama queen and keep at arm's length. Funny how quick that changed when the walls caved in. Sienna? She moved to Florida. Some guy she met online flew her out, and she posted selfies from a boat the next day like none of it ever happened. She never apologized, never explained. But I was done waiting. I didn't block my parents. I didn't cut them off completely, but I stopped calling, stopped checking in. I gave them exactly what they had treated me like for years: distance. And then, a few weeks ago, something unexpected happened. A letter, handwritten, from my mom. It wasn't long, but it was honest. She said she was wrong, that she believed a lie because it felt easier than facing the truth. She thought my quietness meant I didn't care, and she believed all of Sienna's stories. She said she regretted everything, and hoped that maybe one day, I could forgive her. I didn't reply right away. I wasn't sure if I ever would. But after some time, I realized I didn't want revenge. I didn't want them to feel pain. What I really wanted was peace. I wanted to move on. So I wrote back. I told her I was thankful for her honesty. I said healing would take time, and I hoped she truly meant what she wrote. I didn't bring up the money, or Sienna, or the house. Some pain doesn't need to be brought up again, it just needs to be let go. I don't know if we'll ever have the kind of relationship we used to. Maybe we never really did. But now, at least, we're starting from a place of truth. And for the first time in years, I'm not carrying everyone else's problems. I'm finally free to live my own life.